and without any doubt participating in the 2026 general election.
Okay, so obviously someone watching the program right now is wondering, are you participating as Zambia Must Prosper, or maybe you'll be part of an alliance that is already existing?
Thank you very much. The current framework that is there, and which we believe will continue to be there up to the time of the election, is that we are in an alliance known as Tonse Alliance. And the Tonse Alliance currently is making arrangements for a Congress where the chairman, who will be the presidential candidate for 2026, will be elected. The two vice presidents, first vice president, second vice president, will be elected, and the spokesperson of the alliance. And that should be taking place anytime soon. It has been scheduled for 31st of January 2026.
Okay. All right. So the main topic that we are looking at tonight is the unity among opposition political parties. You've just mentioned that you are in Tonse Alliance. Someone would argue that Tonse Alliance is unstable right now because there are a lot of misunderstandings in the alliance. What do you make of that? Do we have an unstable Tonse Alliance right now?
I wouldn't say there is an unstable Tonse Alliance, but there is a Tonse Alliance that is growing to become stronger. You must understand that when you embark on a project to do something, you must all speak one language. And I'll give you an example of what happened in the time of Nimrod, when they wanted to build a tower that would go up to heaven. When they were speaking one language, they worked in unity, in unison, until time came when God confused their language. And that was the end of the program. So similarly, when we talk about opposition unity, people that are coming together into alliances, they must first of all learn to speak one language. And when I talk about one language, I'm not talking about English, Nyanja, Bemba, Lunda, what? But it's the common principles that binds them together. They must agree to those principles that will now form an unbreakable bond among them. When that is achieved, then you have opposition unity.
So is it easy to achieve that with parties that have got different ideologies, different manifestos, but you want to achieve one principle or one goal?
That is why it is possible if the proper stages are followed. One, it is not just a question of saying, let's form an alliance and you bundle yourselves together. Then you have nothing that is endearing you. You must be able to say, what is our goal of coming together as an alliance? What is it that we want to achieve? How will we achieve this? And that usually either comes in a memorandum of understanding or a constitution. And we help you that in Tonse, there's a constitution that regulates the affairs of Tonse Alliance. So everyone will be held accountable to that. Everyone should be able to tag along on the principles enunciated in the constitution.
Are those principles being adhered to by every member of the alliance right now?
As we are speaking now, it's a yes and no.
Why?
So the reason is that the way Tonse was formulated, it was centered and revolving around former President Edgar Chagwa Lungu. May his soul rest in peace, even though we have not put him to rest. It's a very painful thing for all of us as Zambians to go through. I wish this could end and allow him to rest. So everything was revolving around him, and within the constitution, it was very clearly stated that President Lungu was the chairman and the 2026 presidential candidate. Then in boom came the Constitutional Court judgment that said President Lungu is not eligible to compete for position of president. So which means the dynamics in Tonse had to change to accommodate that changing factor. Now to make it worse, he even passes on. So that position of having President Lungu as the chairman and 2026 candidate had to change. But how should it be framed? So that is the process that is now going through, that will lead up or culminate into a Congress where now the would-be chairman will have to be elected and there would be running mates, everything will have to come from there. So in coming up to that, there has to be rules that have to be promulgated and agreed upon by all stakeholders. And currently, there's an electoral commission that has been established that has come up with electoral rules that have been circulated to the members for their comments, so that if there are any changes and what, that is done culminating into an agreement. These are the rules that we've given ourselves. These are the criteria that we will follow in conducting this election. Once agreed, everyone follow.
But don't you think, Mr. Katolo, don't you think all of this was supposed to be done a long time ago? Looking at how much time we've been left with, very little time before we have the August general elections on the 13th of August. Some people would argue to say time is running out, especially for the Tonse Alliance. By now, we would have known who the presidential candidate for the alliance is. Don't you think time is running out for you?
Time may or may not be running out if all the factors and circumstances are taken into account. Like I said before, that the founder or initiator of the Tonse Alliance was President Edgar Lungu. And you saw the events that followed, his death, the court cases, and what. People would have even said, let's hold on until the burial. But realizing that time is not our best ally, the people mandated to take responsibility had now to make a decision. If we continue waiting in vain, we'll end up being disadvantaged, like you are saying. There are only limited months before August 2026. And that's why, in earnest and in sincerity, a bold decision was made that, notwithstanding that the president has not been put to rest, let us galvanize ourselves, give ourselves rules so that we can honor the vision of a former president in coming up with Tonse Alliance. We are on course.
Okay. So when should people expect that, elective conference?
It's been planned for 31st January. There's no change unless otherwise something happens in between. But tentatively, that's the date. So there should be an expectation that close of 31st January or 1st February, there must be an announcement if everything is followed as agreed.
Recently, your president, KBF, raised some concerns about the Tonse Alliance, and we saw, Dr. Danny Pule also coming out and obviously trying to reach out to him. First of all, for someone who's just tuning in for the first time and don't know what we are talking about,
yes,
are you able to tell us those concerns that were raised by your president as VIP?
Thank you very much. So one, in the initial conception of Tonse Alliance, PF or PF movement aligned to President Edgar Lungu were to be like the anchor party in Tonse, and these others join. But we have seen what has happened to PF.
What has happened to PF?
One, there are camps arising from the various presidential contenders that have arisen. So you have Makebi Zulu with his supporters, Mundibile with his supporters, Mao Sampa with his supporters, even Luminda and all that. And arising from that, we have seen them now accusing one another. You are not following the rules, you are doing this, suspensions and what. So when that was noticed, a decision had to be made in Tonse that we need to give our colleagues in PF an opportunity to resolve their differences, so that when they are coming in unity as one entity. But now recently we saw a section, members of parliament and what from PF coming and saying, as we are the Edgar Lungu PF movement or pressure group, as it were. Now a question was asked by President KBF. So if we deal with you as this section, what happens to these other contenders? Are we not being unfair? The decision was made to give you time to go and resolve your problems and come as a united front. Those problems are not resolved. We don't want a situation where if we just deal with you, the other people will be coming with lumping injunctions. Why have you dealt with this and what? So that had to be left out. And it was hoped that our colleagues would get that message very seriously, sit down and resolve. We heard about conclaves being handled, and some of them expressing magnanimity to say, no, I've given up my presidential ambitions for the unity of the party, but there are still sections of them. So that was one problem. And then we said, fine, if we've said we're only going to deal with the PF Edgar Lungu movement or pressure group, the question now was, what criteria will be used to identify that this one was the one closest to Edgar Lungu and not this one?
Right.
It creates a problem.
Indeed, indeed.
And that's what President KBF was saying. Can we please have, as Tonse, a very clear guideline of how those who are Edgar Lungu PF pressure group should be identified? Because the information we were given was that it is those people that were very close to President Lungu, and some names were mentioned. So that criteria has not yet been agreed. And then you see this section coming. The question you ask is, under what criteria? Is it there? So how do we deal with you? That is basically the issue. And then the dynamics of numbers now.
Right.
To say, when we go to the elective conference, these are the political parties, we have 4 representatives coming, and those 4 representatives will be multiplied by 3. So like ZMP would have 12 delegates to the Congress. But the Edgar Lungu PF aligned movement should have 7. And that 7 would be multiplied by 3 to make it 21. So, strictly speaking, if you look at election like a race, you are now telling people you are running a 100-meter race, but your friend is already positioned 21 meters ahead of you, and you are at 0. And they say, run. Even if you were Usain Bolt, you wouldn't catch up. You wouldn't catch up. So we're saying, how was this dynamics arrived upon? How was this matrix arrived upon? Can we have a fair matrix? Because we are in Tonse as equal partners. Let us have equal delegates.
But how can you be equal partners when PF is an anchor party with the majority of numbers in the alliance?
But that's why we're saying the resolution was made and agreed upon that PF is no longer an anchor party, and that's why they were moved out.
Okay.
So with the moving out of PF, there must now be a level playing field.
Okay. So now, going forward, obviously, how should people interpret these misunderstandings? You know, because obviously some people are concerned to say we were looking at Tonse as being maybe one of the alternatives, you know, but looking at how divided they are, would you guarantee the people that these misunderstandings, these divisions will be gotten rid of or will be dealt with accordingly in due time to, you know, maintain or rather restore the trust and the confidence that the people had in Tonse?
I can guarantee that these matters will be resolved if all of us are reasonable and are looking at the bigger picture. And everyone concerned must put away their selfishness.
What is the bigger picture? Is it about removing UPND from government?
No.
What's the bigger picture?
The bigger picture is forming government so as to bring in principles and policies that will steer the development of Zambia to greater heights. Bring in a leadership that is sincere, honest, and frank, that will not be able to tell lies to the Zambian people. I'll give you a very classic example. So much has been talked about the FTJ University in Mansa, Papua province, that 33 million US dollars was stolen. And that narrative has been peddled and the people in PF labeled thieves. But when now people sat down, Mr. Kotwane did a very good job to analyze the contract. It clearly showed that the 33 million US dollars was advance payment for mobilization, and it was supported by a guarantee. Now that guarantee is as good as cash, whether it was issued by an insurance company or by a bank. If there is default by the person who has been given that advance payment, you can go to the person who issued the guarantee and cash it and get the money back. But the consulting engineer who worked on the project and is very much here in Zambia present, he explained very, very clearly that the 3 million indeed was paid and mobilization was done. The contractor moved on site and the structures that were put up after mobilization are there. Then he says there were even works that were done over and above the 3 million US dollars. There are columns that were shown which have been done, but the contractor then needed further payment to progress the works, which further payment was not coming through. So how can anyone in his proper frame of mind begin to say that the 3 million US dollars was stolen? That's misleading to the Zambians. Government has that contract. They've got all the experts to advise them to read the contract and show them what it says. So now when you are governing a country by telling lies to that magnitude, it's a problem. Very recently, we were told all the farmers have been paid money for all the farmers. Today you see still pictures of people lining up outside. Even in Namwala itself, people even had to be taken to the police station. This is where the arrangements for paying farmers is being done. People are sleeping in the corridors. The pictures of Mukushi, farmers sleeping in the corridor of the bank, just wait to be paid. Why should you reduce your citizens to that low level? They worked hard to be able to supply this maize to the food reserve agents. The challenges that they went through supplying that maize to food reserve agents was terrible. Many of them slept at the depots for months just to ensure that their maize is weighed and packaged. With that suffering, again you subject them to suffering to get money. And you are quick to declare Chawama as vacant and ready for a by-election, and you spend money on by-election. Have we become so dull as a country that we cannot devise a payment system that ensures money is paid to the farmers without them having to queue up in that manner?
If you were in power, how would you have done it differently? Because obviously a lot of people have come out on this issue, saying the payment system is so archaic, and obviously we need to improve, because looking at 2026, we cannot be having farmers lining up or queuing up just to get a payment. If you were in power as Tonse Alliance, how would you have held or handled the issue to do with the payment of farmers? And also you talked of lying to the people. How is the Tonse Alliance going to be different from the UPND Alliance? I'm sure they are running the government as an alliance. So how is Tonse Alliance going to be different? Because most of the times we get to hear politicians promise a lot before elections, but once they get into power, it's a different story.
It's failure to be principled and failure to be empathetic. As a leader, one of your greatest attributes must be empathy. To put yourself in the position of the other person and ask yourself, if it was me, would I like to be treated in this way? And that comes from the Christian principles that we learn. Do unto others as you would like them to do unto you. So, if you were a farmer, would you like to be sleeping in the corridor at night without leave the comfort of your home? Now, these people that supplied maize, supplied a long time ago. We didn't have to wait for people to talk, for pressure, for to start talking about releasing money. It shows a lack of planning. The moment government said, we are going to buy so many tons of maize at this price, the total amount required is known at that stage.
Well, but they didn't plan for that. They came out in the...
That's what we are saying.
Yeah, but
failure to plan.
Mr. Katolo, the reason why they said they didn't plan for this bumper harvest, obviously it was unexpected, because we just came from a massive, or should I say, a heavy drought that we had experienced the previous season. And the UPND came out in the open to say, we didn't plan for this. We were expecting 500,000 tons of maize, but we actually received 3 million, and that is something that they didn't plan for. It wasn't in the 2025 national budget. Don't you think it was unprecedented? That's the reason why they had to pay late?
It's just failure to plan. Because first of all, FRA just doesn't buy anyhow. They will say, we are going to buy so many tons of maize at this price. So the moment they declare a figure and the price, then you know the total cost. Okay? So there, the question of bumper harvest and what doesn't arise.
Okay.
Okay? So you should now say, as the people are bringing their maize, for what we have planned here, we will be paying them correspondingly.
Okay.
Pay them either after a week or 2 weeks. You'll be reducing the number. So if you now come to the end of your planning and you say, gosh, we still have a lot of maize. Let us now allow this quantity to come. Then you should already be thinking, okay, we now need extra so much of resources. Where can we get these resources? We have received loans from IMF, that have come in the recent past. We should be able to say, this is a crisis affecting our people. It's an emergency. Because if someone just says, no, we didn't plan of it, there is a bumper harvest. What happens when there is an emergency like cholera, like floods?
That you didn't plan for.
That you didn't plan for. How do you deal with them? Do you fold your arms that no, we didn't plan for this? Resources are found. Where are they gotten from? We've got buffers that you can fall back on. A government that doesn't run with reservoir to tap in emergencies is not worth its salt. And that's what we are saying here. So that issue of bumper it's a lame excuse. No one should even stand on an ante and talk about it. That is fooling the Zambians. Okay. That's insulting the Zambians. So Zambians deserve better.
I'd ask the question, Tonse Alliance, especially on agriculture. I'm very much interested in agriculture because I mean, it's a sector that is more like becoming mining.
Yes.
I'm sure it's going to take over from mining one of these days.
It should actually take over.
How much importance does Tonse Alliance attach to agriculture sector? And going forward, if you were to form government as Tonse Alliance, how would you improve the payment, systems and just everything, the program under FISIP?
Agriculture is a game changer. And I'll tell you something. Congo, our neighbor, get their chicken from Brazil. And we are just here. There's a program that was launched by the Ministry of Agriculture. Very beautiful program of exporting beef. And the values that they were talking about, beautiful and wonderful. And I said, here is a direction. I hope it will not be hijacked by selfish people or by the elite talking to themselves to the detriment of the ordinary people. So those programs must filter down to the ordinary people, where you have the certificates that have been obtained temporarily to secure our animals as disease-free for the purposes of export. And then you have abattoirs properly set up to make sure that quality is not compromised. But go to the ordinary farmers. Whether this farmer has 10 or 15 animals or what, tell them you can participate in this program either by just selling one animal per month. The commensurate value that you will get from participating in this program is awesome. Teach them how to take good care of their animals, to make sure that they are fattened in record time, they are ready for the market. Now, if you said, let us get $5 billion and say in each province we identify 20 commercial farmers. You, whether it's chickens, you, it's avocados, you, it's these two things that are needed. You, it's honey. Here is the support, the machinery for value addition and what? And you have now an aggregator who is collecting from all these people, linked up to the importers outside, so we're exporting, the money comes, it's shared accordingly. But if you look in our country today, for example, just maize. If I grow my maize and I want to go and sell to Congo, because the market is good and the price is good, and government have said we have bought more than enough, the crop is too much, they will not allow me. The moment I'm moving my maize, ZNS will be on the way impounding my maize that I'm smuggling. But you don't have a good market for me here.
So do you
let me finish. We need to have proper policies that allow these farmers, when they produced excess, in fact, to choose whether to sell to FRA or not.
They should have options.
I myself, I grow maize. In all my growing maize, I have said I cannot sell to FRA.
Why?
I don't want to wait for ages without paying me my money, because that money that they have tied can do a lot for me. So I would rather sell to a miller.
Okay.
Who give me money there, than then I'll go and buy my fertilizer and everything and be ready for the next planting season.
Okay.
But what we are doing now, the farmers are not ready for the planting season. They've planted, their maize is in distress because they can't buy fertilizer. So when we talk about a liberalized market, the only concern should be that we are not compromising national food security. And there are experts that know how much we consume in a year, and then you put percentages for emergencies. So otherwise, we should be able to say we have secured our national food security reserves. Anyone who wants to sell, go to your nearest Ministry of Agriculture, get either a permit or whatever it is to be able to sell wherever you want.
Okay. All right, let me get to remind the viewers, dear viewers, in case you're just tuning in, this is Millennium Tonight on Millennium TV. We are live on Channel 95 on Topstar. We are also live on our Facebook page, Millennium TV Zambia. I am hosting Mr. Milner Katolo, and he is actually the Vice President of the Zambia Must Prosper ZMP party. You can call in. We are discussing unity among opposition parties. Do you think we have that, unity among the opposition political parties in Zambia? What needs to be done in order to enhance unity, and what's the importance of this unity? First of all, you can come through right now. Let's get to hear from you before we continue with our discussion. You can call on the line that is showing on the screen right now, and we'll give you that chance to contribute on the program. Now, Mr. Katolo, how can voters trust the opposition in the 2026 general elections if right now the opposition is divided? Is it easy for voters?
When you say divided, I don't know the measure of division that can be used to describe that division.
Or should I put it when you have misunderstandings as the opposition?
Okay, but let me say this. Currently, in terms of opposition political parties, there are three alliances that I may be aware of. There is the People's Pact around the Socialist Party. There is the Tonse Alliance. There is also UCA.
Okay, just hold your thoughts. Let's get to pick up this call. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, sir. How are you?
Fine, thank you. How are you this evening?
I'm alright.
Please speak up. Give us your name. Where are you calling us from?
This is Milner Chomba calling you from Kazanga, Lusaka.
Mr. Stromba, please go ahead.
Yes, I'm Mugumba Vice President wa Zambia Must Prosper. Kwa mbete Ngalanda inatokewa Sponsor Alliance ilikuwa kwa unity. We need to unite the Sponsor Alliance and remove this government of UPND. A government of liars, Yarabufi. Abachi kuchinja apuwa Islam Power 2021 waleta kuhusu. So, Manager President Ukwati, as Zambians, we are behind the Tonse Alliance. And the two-party message to say, as Zambians, Tonse Alliance is to unite. Because if Tonse Alliance doesn't unite, then Zambians will suffer like in hell if this government was to continue after August 15. Thank you.
Thank you so much for calling. We are still picking up more calls. You can still text as well if you're unable to call in live on the program. We'll read out those text messages as they come through. Yes, we were talking about, Tonse Alliance or the opposition being united or divided. You have disagreed that it's not divided.
It's not divided.
Okay, we'll pick up from there. Just hold it. Hello, good evening. Well, and then two for more one additional. Hello? Hello? Are you able to call us back? Okay, we lost that call. Please call us back and we'll put you live on the program. Yes, you may continue, sir.
Yes, Mr. Stromba says we want Tonse to be united. Thank you very much. It's the desire of all of us to be united and to make sure that we deliver to the expectations of Zambians. I'll give you a classic example of what happened in Shawama. Someone analyzed it so well that we had this opposition division, this party featuring its candidate and independents and what. And when you aggregate the votes for the opposition and the independents, it was coming to somewhere above 11,000. UPND got somewhere 6,000. So meaning, if there was unity of purpose among the opposition to only feature one candidate, they would have been walloped by even more than 11,000. And if that pattern is followed for all the constituencies that are coming up, I don't see UPND succeeding.
Okay. All right. You're live on the program. Hello. Good evening.
My brother, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you. Your name and where you're calling us from?
Thank you so much. My name is Pande. I'm calling you from within the Saka.
Yes, Mr. Mpande. Please go ahead. Submit.
Thank you so much. For me, I want to talk about the topic that you have this evening with your guest there. And I must hasten here to state that the opposition that we have, my brother, they have no agenda. And I can assure you that it's good that the records are kept there. After 13th August, HH will still bounce back to status, and these individuals that are masquerading or that are putting themselves as opposition, they will still be put where they are, because the message they have is totally away from what a Zambian can expect from an opposition. Look, for example, now we have these opposition that are now peddling lies. They are full of lies. The other one was he just came out of the police custody today, trying that there is a polling station that ECZ has set up to reach. When he was questioned, he started apologizing. And today I'm wondering in court, he's saying he pleaded not guilty. But he apologized. What did he apologize for? So these are just liars in the forms of opposition. They are peddling lies about the president. No, the president is sick. Today the president he just had a meeting with the Catholic Church. But these are individuals that are peddling all manners of lies. So there's nothing. I don't know if they had was from the time I started listening to your program, I didn't hear anything that you do as an opposition person. All he is telling are lies and propaganda. So how can a normal person join people like those and say, no, we are going to vote and we are voting for the opposition? To come and do what? Because the whole message they have now is lies and propaganda. Now, honestly, me as a Zambian, can I just wake up early in the morning to go out?
Okay, we lost Mr. Mpande there. Thank you so much for calling. We appreciate. He's saying we've got no agenda.
Mr. Mpande, we thank you for the opinion that you hold.
Is it true that you have no agenda?
No ways. I'm just saying things that are very tangible here. For me, when I say the farmers are not paid, they are sleeping in the corridors of the banks. Is that a lie? Is it not in the press media? When they said, no, the 33 million was stolen, and someone comes and explains and there's a contract, are we telling lies, or we are holding them to account? Didn't the president himself apologize and acknowledge that, yes, we are sorry that the farmers have not been paid? Are those lies?
Maybe
is anyone telling lies? It is him.
Maybe he's talking about you offering checks and balances as compared to, pointing out the weaknesses and shortcomings of the UPND. Maybe that's what he meant.
Those are what we are talking about. When I was talking about aggregating farmers, allowing them to export, so that they are able to what? Are those lies? Are those not policies that are intended to empower the people? When we talk about development of agriculture in rural areas, starting in rural areas, when we talk about having mechanisms where the Zambian people and its government benefit more from the mineral resources that are there, are those lies? The Zambians must have ownership of the means of production. What do we own in the mines today? In some of those that were taken over from ZCM, we may have 20% shareholding there. In the new ones, Karumbira, we may have maybe 15% shareholding there. But we are coming from a time when we had 49% shareholding in mines, so that when they declare a dividend, we are getting a reasonable dividend because we have a larger shareholding. On top of that, we are getting the taxes. So, but we have diluted ourselves so much. So even when they say today that we want to produce 3 million tons in the next few years, the question you ask is, the value of that 3 million tons, where is it going? How much are we getting as a country from that?
Okay, so we'll come on that one even more. I want us to talk about the mining sector and how you help Zambians on that sector. Hello, good evening.
Hello, Chungurumkwai.
Mkwai, Mwana Nishina.
Nevo hero murenga kuna kwa George.
Wa murenga kwa George na then Tumkwai.
Mkwai. Ndefo kuna ndabara president ya. Nito ndefo kuna ndachakwe bati. Pana background, tuleno lera, president, niya ku convention. Ito kaya samarera ndora, tulena kwa tikona wala tinchita, ngazazi nga mata convention, tumwa nilinda, twara konka, tuini nepo ya wini wewe. Tiwa sekete ya kulondora background, tiweze kwewe neseka, tuwari rondora kani.
Okay.
So chirafai kama atara president wako watati at least ada mwaneka mwanisanga tiraba kutichi barando kwebati umina kirisi mwanekera mwitwarire mwanekere umirandire chonse tiriya notiri nduwa president ura mwaneka kwa tiri niwego atita wako na Nigeria na kena keta chimoneka bwino at least wakacha kwa improve na mwanekere. So kote kwa kia maana pe kuri president yapo kimutema mitambe se campaign chapwa ya kulondolele tuwede wanaona tenshite.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for calling. All right, you can respond to that and also answer my question. Yes. Zambians, we've seen young people especially trying to get a benefit from mining in their own country, but of course they call that as illegal mining. How are you going to make it legit? And obviously, going forward, how are you going to ensure that Zambians benefit more from the mines compared to how we're benefiting now? Before you answer that one, let's add on this call. Hello. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening, Vice President.
Good evening. Thank you very much.
Okay. Tototera sana mwe especially panigania shigama kama za kingira mwondo la mwene bindefi ngomwika kumonto mutontoro Mozambian. Mkwae.
Thank you.
Okay, uwele na kuni topiki. yama opposition okwigatana ekintu ky'omwema Zambia nakyo tuyiraalaba kyakwekirwa nti omuntu abakushita badde mwana
meaning so that baraba shumfu ekibemba nabena bakitako understand.
Okay, so meaning let me try to explain what it is. Although my talk is not enough.
Okay.
Can I come again when I find something?
Okay, please. Okay, all right. Thank you so much. So, yes, you can respond to that.
Yes, he says we just elected a president for us. We've done our own work.
They're just waiting for the president.
And this is the process that Tonse is going through, putting everything, so that when we come out with a presidential candidate on 31st January 2021, no one will cry foul, everyone will congratulate the other and say, let us now go and work for the Zambians. That is what we are trying to do for you Zambians, so that this unity that you are asking us to maintain should continue to be maintained for the benefit of everyone.
Okay. And I had asked you a question, earlier on about the mining sector.
The mining sector?
Yes.
I'll give you a classic example of Mopani. The PF government had gotten Mopani from the original owners, Glencore, and it was now 100% Zambian-owned entity. Our colleagues come and say, no, we don't want to own it 100%. We are going to find an investor who will now get the majority shareholding in here. What is wrong with us owning it 100%? And then they are told, okay, we had 100% shareholding here. You find someone who comes and takes the share. Oh, so what have you done? Have you sold the shares or have you done what? The Minister of Mines, Honorable Kabuswe, has been at pains to explain. Up to now, he has not explained what transaction took place. Was it a giving? Was it a sale? And so forth. So this is where we see that the interests of Zambians are not taken care of. And yet, we have expertise in this country. Mining engineers, geologists, geotechnical engineers, and so forth are trained, surveyors are trained at University of Zambia, Copperbelt University, year in, year out. That expertise is there. The current general manager at Mopani, I think is Mr. Charles Sakanya. He's a trained person from University of Zambia. He worked for Chibuma Mine. He started as an electrical engineer. Today is the general manager there. So we have capacity and expertise. What it requires is financing.
Where will that financing come from?
Correct. The demand for copper currently is
high.
And
the prices are good as well.
And the prices are good. And we know the people that buy this copper. So you go to them and negotiate. Give us $5-10 billion in advance for guaranteed supply of the copper.
Okay. You sign an agreement.
You sign an agreement.
Okay.
They give you the money. You pump in. You will surely get a profit. So it is just ideas of how to raise capital against your asset that you have.
So the asset becomes the capital, isn't it?
The collateral, as it were.
Okay. Let's get to hear from this one. Hello, good evening. Hello, Mlishan Mkwai. Tiri Bueno. Mkambala wandani?
Mkambala wa minus UK.
Bwezanko ni volume ku TV. We lost that call. You can still call us. Please remember to reduce the volume on your TV set as you're coming through on the program. There's more to talk about when it comes to the opposition. First of all, the win in Chawama by-elections. Does that demonstrate unity of the opposition?
Certainly, because we saw different opposition political parties working there. The PF were there, FDD were there, Zambia Must Prosper were there, and no one said, this is not our candidate, what do we have to do there? That is the unity we're talking about. If we are able to work like that, we know the unity is guaranteed. We just hope that our brothers in PF can quickly resolve their problem. Although there are court issues, we don't know how long this will be resolved. The inter-party hearing for the injunction that was granted in Kabwe has delayed, and obviously it delays the organization of the PF because they've been injuncted from even operating from their secretariat.
We have a call. Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, boss. Give us your name. Where are you calling us from?
This is Baron calling from Ndola.
Baron in Ndola.
Yes.
Yes, please go ahead.
I like to use my mother tongue.
Please go ahead, Baron.
Okay,
I'm going.
Pusha abwabe keria kumubikire papani wa.
Nwa Katolo.
Wa Katolo. Ono mushiryo. Wisa mukulondorola. If your government yenonga mwali forming a government. If you like to be in Zambia, Natunga Mwatikata go mine. I remember I am the mine much fairer, for example. The government liquidate that mine. I want you to explain to me the meaning of liquidation. Then, I want you to explain your condemn mine minister. Then the other thing, ungamwagami tafamila basa, mwaiba kwa tafamashuko ya kuiza famila basa. Hale rondolola ifyo muka tuchitila kwevena Zambia, notikula konde umunenu, ilo tamurekiwa zeto muketasa, nomba mule ishtisha shani. Ezo mule ishtisha kulifwe mavotaji, mule ishtisha shani. Because upon the Yoko program, mule konde mase, you don't provide if you take that. Yes, you can condemn. But you are not no, when you take that, if you watch the because if we did put watch that, some of you were in opposition, more power, 4 years ago. I'm a mind your 90. Your 90 completely. You are the trailer of a copper mine. That is very liquidate. What happened? People lose jobs at Mopan. UPND came into power, revived that mine. They are employing people there. They are paid. Is it not benefit for the Zambians? So, when you are saying something, please explain to us so that we can understand, so that you can see the new government. You are benefit. Not the better direction. And then you could organize if you want to win voters over the much form government. If you don't know, better direction. If you to the money for doing it, take it, because there is no opposition really better direction.
All right,
thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for calling. Okay, maybe you can respond.
I was speaking Baroni.
I'm going.
Shishivenga mwachira tesha na mponga limbi mwachirako business into fimbi. One, Mopani was never liquidated. The only mining company that was liquidated ni KCM. So, nero mulera andana imwe mwakwate fishing kabwino. Nga mwachira tesha ntire. Mopani ifalena Zambia after the Glen Kobaya to equate 100% shareholding. ero nomba twaisafumia pa 100% shareholding twayapera bambi bakwata majority share na mponga ni 51%. So ichide people ati ubukumo ubwakufuma ku mine bali atwitire ebaresenda preshingi ife turesenda preshi no. We must have control of our resources efyontile. And that is the agenda that we are going to have, to make sure that the control of our mining sector has a larger stake kubena Zambia. So that
we should make it clear for him.
Let me just
what are you going to do?
So that in Gatwashtisha, for example, umukuba worth $100 million. Atukwata 100%. $100 million yonse nshi Yesu. If itukwete na ponga ni 49 ni $51 million yaba nensu. There are so many mineral deposits in this country that we have left to be abused by the people they are calling illegal miners. We had Kasenseri gold mine that was running by Sachisara. It was producing. It needs to be structured in a way where government would have the largest stake. We have to open new mines. Copper is littered everywhere. If you go to Kasempa, nearly everywhere you step, there's a copper deposit. Why are we not opening mines? Someone has lied to us that government must not be involved in business, must not conduct business. How did Kaunda develop Zambia? We had so many parastatals, those in mines, those in manufacturing, those in agriculture, and all these were bringing money that was developing the country. Vaisa tubepa ukuti iyo government irashta business, and now we have to beg and rely on only to tax. And those people that are working in that sector are also doing tax avoidance, claiming VAT returns, increasing the cost inputs through transfer pricing. There's a lot of wrong that is going on. We must have our own minds as a country, so that in that Washtisha, it's 100% profit.
Are you going to revive the parastatal companies once you form government as Tonse Alliance?
Because yes, we will, and even now the parastatal company is operating. That is why you have IDC. IDC has a number of entities there, parastatals, but they have to be organized in such a way that you don't lump cadres there. If you go to ZESCO, you find how many cadres were employed after 2021. The company begins to fail to operate profitably.
Okay, let's get to pick up at least two more calls, then we end the program. Hello, good evening.
Hello.
Hello, you're live on Millennium tonight. Your name and where you're calling from?
Masenza Bwanji.
Bwino Masenza Bwanji.
Bwino Wahamaleto Masenza Bwanji.
Bwino Bwanji namwe.
Yani kila mwambili Ezekiel Banda kila kwa
Okay.
Ezekiel Banda, Kabante vele.
Yani kila mwambili wanele kuzalemu kukamba. Wantu background wavutika. Wanele mukukamba yapo, wanele walipo napuomisa jiraisi tabeza nana chitapu. Fulimu zanele mukukamba yapo, vitabe straight. Asa jitiope mpaka 2026, wastoka poshofu na gafu na wachoka. Kiwachosa, tavutika background njala, wana promisa fatweza, hapo mukamba walimi, talibana tenga drama up to now. So aisho tunga pezikuti vanene kitika mga background na mushi. Watu mkaenda background mkombo yomena kutikira walila, akufana njala. Unga ni watula, anapromisa tunga zaka 50 kwata. Anapromisa isataniza zaka 250. Zinechitika. Watu mkaenda mkombo na watu avutika. Sasa majaji wapaka, watu walikupaya na lawama zinawasha. Sasa kibwele hapo. Wona alipokambaza mukamba, weza akapechana ife kibwele da. Wengine wakikuchikila, kilipa ground dia na nalishikila, ziko mwambili
time kila. All right, maybe you can respond to that and then...
Thank you, Mr. Ezekiel Banda. Let's continue to support one another, believe in our leaders. We will not let down the Zambians. We will insist on opposition unity and proper principles that will be able to turn around the economy of this country to take care of the needs of the ordinary Zambian. The ordinary Zambian should be able to feel the value and benefit of voting a government in power.
So what should people expect from the elective conference that you'll be having as we end the program?
So they should be looking forward to one, the candidate who will be the chairman and presidential candidate for 2026. They should be looking forward to the two vice presidents, first and deputy, from whom one can be chosen as a running mate. Then they should be looking forward to a spokesperson. And after that, all of us in unison will now have to traverse this country to mobilize the voters and convince the voters that we mean well and what we intend to do for them, and will not let them down.
All right. Mr. Milner Katolo, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you
for coming through for the program.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Been a pleasure talking to you, and the dear viewers as callers as well. Thank you so much. We appreciate your time. It's been awesome having you watching and calling in on the program. Ruben Manza is my name. I was hosting Milner Katolo, who is the Vice President of the Zambia Must Prosper ZMP party, and we're talking about unity among opposition political parties in Zambia. And we are done for tonight. Bye for now. Join us again next time around.